everyone. Welcome to Main Street Matters by Heart on Main Street, the podcast that knows that one decision can make or break your profitability, and that's your pricing. I am your host, Patrick Keiser. This episode kicks off a brand new 10-part series based on the strategies and tactics of pricing by Thomas Nagle and some other colleagues as well. One of the most influential books on pricing strategy. Now, I know you might be thinking, Patrick, pricing sounds intimidating. That's for big corporations, not small independent retailers like me. Can't I just double the wholesale price and be done with it? But stick with me, because what you'll hear in this series is practical, powerful, and completely doable for independent retailers like you. And if reading about numbers and pricing makes your head spin, well, that's why I'm here. I've done the reading so you don't have to. But as always, I do recommend that you read the book on your own. I'm going to take some things from the reading that you might not, and you're going to take some things that I might totally overlook. You know your situation better than I do. So again, the book is called The Strategy and Tactics of Pricing by Thomas T. Nagle. And here's the truth. Pricing is the fastest way to improve your profitability. Faster than cutting costs, faster than trying to boost sales volume, a small change in price can make a huge impact on your bottom line. As Thomas Nagle puts it, pricing is the moment of truth. Every dollar of revenue is the result of a pricing decision. In today's episode, we're going to explore the hidden power of pricing. We'll talk about why pricing is critical, why most retailers get it wrong, and how thinking differently about price can transform your business. So let's start thinking about the bottom line. It's book club time. Let's start with a simple but eye-opening idea. A 1% change in price can make a bigger impact on profit than a 1% change in costs or sales. Now, here's why. Follow with my math here. Imagine that you run a store with $500,000 in annual sales. Your profit margin is 5%, which is nationally on the high end, but we're going to use some round numbers here. So you end up out of that making $25,000 of profit. Now let's test out some changes here. If you increase your sales volume by 1%, that's $5,000 more in sales. At a 5% margin, that's just $250 of extra profit. Now let's look at that same scenario, but we're going to cut costs by 1%. In doing that, you're going to save, in this scenario, $5,000. But you've also given something up. You've gained $5,000 of profit, but you also lost something. Where did that $5,000 come from that you had to cut out of your budget? But if you raise your average price just 1% without losing customers, that's $5,000 in extra revenue. And almost all of that's going to drop straight into your profit. Your profit jumps from $25,000 to $30,000. That's a 20% increase in profit from a tiny 1% price increase. That's the hidden power of pricing. Nagle explains it this way. Because price is multiplied by every unit sold, small changes have outsized effect on profitability. For independent retailers, this is huge. You might not have the room to cut more costs. You might not be able to dramatically increase sales overnight, but you can review your pricing strategy and find opportunities to capture more value. And here's the thing, customers are not as price sensitive as we think. Sure, there are bargain hunters, but many shoppers care more about value, customer service, convenience, and the overall experience than saving 1% or a dollar or two. So if pricing is so powerful, why do so many independent retailers get it wrong? Now we can look at this in 4 different ways. There's one, the fear of losing customers. The number one reason retailers underprice is fear. We think if I charge more, people will go elsewhere. That fear pushes us into competing on price, which is a race to the bottom. Another reason is cost plus thinking. Many retailers simply take the wholesale cost, double it, and call it good. That's called keystone pricing. It feels simple, but it ignores the value customers place on the product, the uniqueness of your offering, and your actual profitability goals. And as one retailer told me early on, keystone is tombstone. If you're only going to keystone your prices, your store will soon be dead. Another reason is that you're copying competitors. This trap is pricing based on what the shop down the street or what the A word, Amazon, charges. The problem, their business model isn't your business model. Competing on their terms often hurts you more than it helps. And then another reason is that we're using discounting as a habit. When sales are slow, an instinct often becomes, let's run a sale. But constant discounting trains customers to wait for deals and then erodes your margins. Now, I say this knowing full well that we recently did a webinar with Max Retail, and they talked about the necessity of marking down items that aren't selling and taking that money and investing it into products that are going to sell. You don't want to be known for discounting your products and making it predictable. But you can't let all of your money be tied up in products on your shelf. You do want to get rid of the things that aren't going to sell and again, invest that in things that are going to sell. Nagle warns when managers default to cost-based or competitive pricing, they give up their power to influence value. And the truth is, customers don't remember your exact prices as much as they remember your store, how they felt there, and that's where your power lies. So if cost plus pricing, fear, and copycat strategies don't work, well, what does? It really starts with a mindset shift. Price is not just a number that you stick on a tag. It's a strategic choice that communicates value. Think about it. A $10 candle from a discount store sends a message. A $25 artisan candle in a boutique sends a different one. The wax might be similar, but the story, the experience, and the perceived value are worlds apart. That's why Nagle insists the right price is the one that captures the value that you create for the customer, not just your cost plus a margin. For independent retailers, that means understanding your customer's perception of value, setting prices that align with your brand positioning, and communicating the story behind your products. So let's look at some examples of this. A bookstore that hosts author events can charge more for signed editions than Amazon ever could. It's about creating that experience. A toy store that curates educational, safe, and unique toys can charge above big box prices because parents will trust them more. And a gift shop offering free wrapping and personalized services creates value that justifies higher prices. Your pricing should reflect not just the item, but the experience and trust that you provide. Now, let's get practical. The first step in harnessing the power of pricing is knowing your numbers. That means profit margins on each category, sales volume by product, and which products drive traffic versus which drive profit. A great exercise is to rank your products into 3 groups. Traffic drivers, the things that bring people in, often have a lower margin. There's margin builders, fewer sales, but higher profit per unit. And image products, items that reinforce your brand. They're often unique or premium. Once you see this breakdown, you can adjust price strategically. Maybe traffic drivers stay competitive, but margin builders get a small increase. Maybe image products carry premium pricing to reflect their uniqueness. The point is, you don't have to treat every product the same. Strategic pricing balances all 3 roles. So let's look at how we can start applying these steps this week to start harnessing the hidden power of pricing. Step number 1, audit your prices. Pick 10 bestsellers, write down the cost, current price, and margin. Are you underpricing relative to the value that customers receive? Step 2, test a 1% change. Raise prices slightly on one category of products. Track sales. Do customers even notice? but does this improve your profit on these? And then step number 3, reframe the story. Train your staff to emphasize value, not just price. Instead of saying, this is $25, say, the candle is hand poured by a local artisan and it burns for 40 hours, or something like that, depending on the product. Small steps done consistently unlock big impact. And that's it for episode 1 of our series on the strategy and tactics of pricing. Today, we learned that pricing is the single most powerful lever for profitability. We saw why retailers often underprice and how to shift from a cost plus margin thinking to strategic pricing based on value. Here's the takeaway. Price is not just math, it's messaging. It tells your customer who you are, what you stand for, and what experience they can expect. And as Nagle reminds us, every pricing decision is also a positioning decision. In episode 2, coming out later this week, we'll get into some more pricing shenanigans as we dive deeper into value-based pricing, why cost plus misses the mark, and how to price based on what customers are truly willing to pay. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with another retailer, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leaving a review helps us reach more Main Street businesses who need this message. Until next time, stay safe, shop local, and keep your heart on Main Street. This episode is written, produced, researched, and edited by me, Patrick Keiser, with a very special thanks to Thomas Nagle and his book, The Strategies and Tactics of Pricing. For more information about Heart on Main Street, you can go to www.heartonmainstreet.org, and you can email us at contact@heartonmainstreet.org. Thanks. Bye.